So, as audiophiles and headphone enthusiasts, one thing is that we have, some would say, excessive numbers of headphones. Would you say that's reasonable, or is this a right amount that you've got here on the wall?
The wall amount is a little bit excessive. The amount that I have in my closets and in my back room is definitely excessive.
Do you know how many you've got here at the moment in total, including everything that's packed away in the boxes?
Maybe 60 pairs.
Well, we thought, since I'm here in Tennessee with DMS, I would come and roast his setup a little bit, see what I think of the headphones that he's using most, that he's got hung up on the wall. Starting with, of course, the HD6XX from Sennheiser.
Yeah.
It is not just one of the headphones of all time, but perhaps the headphone of all time. Some would say the default headphone. And, well, let's give it a listen, because I haven't actually heard it in a little bit. But
I do have a 600 and a 650 and a 660S2 here also.
just in case.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, there's very few other headphones that do vocals in the way that these do. I think that's quite rightly what people love them for, and what they've got a reputation for. For the price, it's pretty hard to beat these, to be honest, and it's something which, if you are in this hobby and you've got a collection of headphones, these absolutely have a place, especially if you have a tube amp, or in fact, if you have one of these, you should get a tube amp, because these on tubes are just special.
Immaculate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're really good.
Very much so.
Audeze LCD2 Classic. This is my first time hearing these.
Is it now?
It is.
Okay.
I'm not thrilled on them.
So I have those for a very specific reason. It's because I've been working with a company on trying to remake the classic Audeze vegan pads.
Okay, what is it that those change compared to the leather pads that are on these at the moment?
They elevate some parts of the treble back up, so there's not really like a dip there anymore.
Okay, yeah, because that's one of the things I'm not super into at the moment, is there is a dip in the treble, which I guess the best way to put it is sucks out a little bit of the excitement for me.
Yes.
It makes these a slightly kind of dull listen. I get why people like these, I do. They're just not quite my thing. Is there anything else that those vegan pads change?
That's mostly it. It's just, it fixes the tuning a fair bit. It's just a headphone that with a pad swap I enjoy quite a bit. With the stock pads, it's on the darker side and it has its flaws, but there are definitely cases in which I do recommend it. A lot of people I know who are like metalheads really like those because they're a little softer.
I can see these being real good for metal, actually. I don't listen to that too much myself, but for those who listen to that genre a lot. When are those vegan pads likely to be available, do you know?
I'm not positive. I think there's a shipment of them coming right now.
Nice.
But I don't want to spoil too much there.
DMS Omega.
Yes.
Who made these?
Some DMS guy. I have no clue. Yeah.
Interesting. I'd heard these before.
Yeah.
This is my first time hearing the final tuning, though. You've done a bloody fantastic job on them, I've got to say.
Thank you. These are going to be a headphones.com exclusive. We should be launching the store page on them pretty soon, I think.
Okay. The tuning of these is really close to diffuse field neutral. It's an extremely neutral headphone. An extremely resolving headphone. I was surprised how detailed these sound.
And bass.
And bass.
Yeah,
there's definitely bass.
If you have a OTL amp or an impedance adapter,
yes,
you can make thick bass.
I tried these with a couple different devices, the Questel M15, and then the Sennheiser HDV820, which has a 40 ohm output impedance, I believe, and then the Dark Voice, which I don't know what the output impedance on that is, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
And it works really nicely with these.
Oh yeah, just bass city.
Yes.
Very fun.
Adds a bit more bass, keeps the rest of it neutral. The detail on these is great, the comfort is great. These are very light. Pads look really thick, and I like that because it means they're not touching my ears at all.
Yep, that's a big problem I have with a lot of headphones.
Yeah, I don't like it when headphones are actually like pressing on my ears or anything. So having nice thick pads, which means that they're not touching anything, and having big gaps inside, as you can see there, that's cool. Yeah, you've done a fantastic job of these, and I'm trying to pressure DMS to actually get them out.
Soon.
Yes. Yeah, you should hurry up because these are fantastic.
Thank you.
What kind of music would you listen to these on? Like, how often do you use these yourself?
I use them almost every day. I use them for just about everything I listen to. Lots of Big Thief, Half Moon Run, Radiohead, Alt J. Sometimes I'll do rap or electronic, so Kendrick or things like that, or drums and bass, jazz, just everything.
Well, speaking of everything, that new Everything Everything album on these.
So good.
That was good.
Yeah, Cold Reactor.
Oh, Cold Reactor is so good.
Yep, that's the banger off the album. Pizza Boy, love Pizza Boy.
Yeah, I'm going to be buying a pair of these myself. He really has done a fantastic job on these, and just from a value perspective, genuinely, and I'm not just saying this because he's my friend, these are a standout option at Do you want to say what price point these are going to sell for?
Yep, they are $999 US.
Okay. Yeah, there's not much else genuinely that I would recommend over these at that price point. I'm going to skip ahead to one that I'm not quite so keen on, even though I know you love it. So I'm really sorry to say this, but
it's okay. I understand.
The MDR CD900 ST. These are really comfy, and for $50-ish, they're good. Don't get me wrong. I would take some KPH-30Is over these.
See, I like the closed back because I use them for editing a lot.
That's fair.
It's like my go-to. If I'm on the road and I have a laptop and I'm editing, that's what I bring with me.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, they're light enough and feels durable enough that you could just toss them in a bag, use them kind of wherever you are. They isolate a surprisingly decent amount for how light they are.
There's 3 pairs of those Sonys I have here. So I have those, the 7506 and the V6, all with the Yaxi pads.
Gotcha.
And they just lean like, that one's the brightest of the 3, 7506 is the most neutral, the V6 is the most bassy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like one for everyone.
That's kind of my issue with these, is that these are the brightest one.
Yeah.
The... which one was that?
7506.
7506. Those ones I enjoyed a lot more subjectively. They're less comfy.
Yep.
But these were just a little bit too treble hot with not enough sort of low end, generally speaking, to balance it out. I totally get the practical application for them. Just not something that if I had them, I'd listen to every day.
It's a tool for me, but I do appreciate some aspects of them. But yeah, it's not for everyone. It's definitely not for everyone.
That's fair. All right, well, let's talk about their counterpart then.
The MDR 7506 with the Yaxi ST Deluxe pads.
On camera, they look fairly similar. Same blue and red. Are these blue and red? Is that the aftermarket pads, or is that okay?
Yeah, left and right.
I like that aesthetic. That's cool. Yeah, these are less comfy. There's a flatter sort of profile to the pads here, so they do press against your ears a little bit. They do touch on the sides as well, which I wasn't super keen on, but they do sound better. These have more low end, generally speaking, and a little bit less treble, it seems a little bit less uneven treble, just a little bit more balanced overall. Yeah, I mean, these were surprisingly neutral overall. There wasn't any real major issues in the tuning deviating from neutral that I could hear.
Yeah, they're pretty close to slope diffuse field. There's like just a couple small bumps here and there, but they're pretty dang decent.
And how much are these ones?
I got those for like $40-ish and the pads for another 20 or 30.
So for $60, that's a really good option.
Oh yeah, it's insane. I made a video about these. I highly recommend them to people who are looking for a budget set of closed backs.
That's cheap enough that it's the kind of thing which, if either you're looking for just a gift for a friend or family member, or if you're just a collector and you want to add something without spending too much, this is one I'd recommend picking up. These are surprisingly good fun. I quite like these a lot. I'm probably going to grab a pair myself.
I love those for if I need to edit and isolate, or if I'm just like, if there's just too much background noise to use my open backs, it's good to just, I have a closed back here, I'll just grab that.
Yeah, makes sense. And again, really light. Not as comfy just because they touch your ears, but not enough to kind of create any hotspots or anything. No real
I can get a couple hours out of them before I have to take them off.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, well, let's swap to an open back then.
Oh, yes.
This is one that I think we both agree pretty closely on.
Yep, this is my baby.
The ZMF Atrium. You've got a really nice looking pair as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That one was, I didn't specify. I just said make a custom Atrium, but you pick the color, Zach. Don't let me see it. Don't tell me anything about it.
Just wait until it shows up on your door.
Yeah.
This is what showed up, and I mean, just...
Yeah, no, it's out of this world. I love it.
Yeah, that's a really pretty pair. These are headphones that are really interesting. They kind of defy a lot of my expectations about what I'm looking for in headphones. I published a review of these recently. They're not that resolving. They're not that technical. Every single time I put them on, I just 3 hours later go, oh, I'm still listening to music. I hadn't even realized that time had passed. There's something incredibly immersive about them, and despite the fact that they're not all that technical, something even from ZMF like the Caldera is quite a bit more detailed. These are something which I just end up reaching for so much more.
They just put you there.
They just put you there. Yeah. And it's the right level of being able to show off well-mastered tracks and stuff and really let you enjoy things like that new Everything album. There's a link to that in the description. It's really good.
Yes. They level the playing field too.
They do. Yeah. Bad stuff doesn't sound bad on these. They're not sibilant or harsh or limiting in any kind of way, and so you can just enjoy everything on these. Put your library on shuffle. Forget about it.
There's a lot of headphones that are really high-end that make it so I really only enjoy tracks that are super well mixed or certain genres, and that's part of why I love those, is because I genuinely can just listen to anything in my library and it's great.
Yeah. I love my Hypermances Varas. That's one of my highest performing headphones for me, and Andrew Park likes those a lot as well, but I can't listen to everything on them. It's one where a lot of tracks, it makes the flaws in the mix or production really obvious, And that can be quite distracting. It's one where great tracks sound great, but bad tracks sound terrible. And so you have to be picky about what you listen to. These just, if I just want to sit down and listen and not think about anything else, ZMF Atrium. Speaking of headphones, which I've been listening to a lot lately, Modhouse Tungsten. These ones look a little bit different because you've taken the plates off, which is interesting. The stock plates on these have a little bit of a resonance to them.
Yeah, around 10 kilohertz.
Yeah, which luckily with my HRTF actually sits okay. I don't get too much of it, but I know some people do. And so you just 3D printed these, right?
Yes, those have approximately 23% open area on the grill, which is a lot of open area. Or not 23% non-open area.
Right.
So the rest is all open. So it's very little actual coverage of the driver. I found when they're completely open, it actually starts to recess around 10 kilohertz.
Interesting.
So I kept printing different ones at the right amounts until that frequency ended up being just completely dead on with the diffuse field HRTF for the rig.
Nice.
I really love the tungsten. We need to have you hear those backs while you're...
Yeah, I've not actually listened to these yet. I have tried taking the grills on my ones just off completely. Not tried hearing those.
You know how it gets a little bit dark when you do that?
Yeah.
So this is right in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, that just sits right in between. And for me, it's butter.
That sounds pretty perfect. Is this something which people can print themselves? Have you got a file available for people?
I do. I've been sharing it around my patron chat. I want to make a file that looks better at some point.
Gotcha.
And then I'll probably put it up online somewhere on Twitter or Discord or something like that, once I make one that looks pretty.
Nice. I'll go and follow DMS on Twitter at DMS3TV, and me as well at GoldenSound Hi-Fi.
Probably my most detailed headphone.
Possibly, yeah. They're crazy technical. I think for those who are wanting the best performing headphone they can get for the least money, assuming you have the amp to drive them, because especially if you listen a little bit louder than average, those are really difficult to drive. They need a lot of voltage, not power, but voltage. I'll be talking about that a little bit more in my review. Focal Bathys. I've got a pair of these in my bag as well.
Yes, because sometimes I am on airplanes, and when I'm on airplanes, I want that same kind of level of sound quality, but also the battery life on those is nuts. I really like that Focal will replace the battery in those after it goes out, which is...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
nice.
One thing that... Because a lot of Bluetooth stuff is just a paperweight once the battery dies. So
yeah,
these will... Yeah, they still have a use case after that. Yeah, I really like the Bathys. I think it's the best thing you can buy that's a Bluetooth over your headphone.
I think that there's a few other Bluetooth headphones which have slightly better active noise cancellation. That's the one thing where these aren't necessarily flagship. But also, I think a lot of people think that the ANC on this isn't as good as it actually is because by default they're set to mild. And you have to download the app and set them to strong. Once you do that, they're really good. This is what I was using on the flight over, and I think they're still above 90% battery. As you said, the battery life on these is kind of wild.
I've done overseas flights before and landed with 80% plus.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's insane. I love them.
Yeah. Really nice premium build, LED on as well. Makes it look really good. Excellent sound quality.
And good comfort.
Really good, yeah, really good comfort. I have a massive noggin. I do wish that they had one more notch just to slightly pull it apart a little bit more, just because I get a little bit of a hot spot. Not because the headband isn't padded enough or anything, but just because the cups pull the headband down a little bit on me. But that's just because my head is unusually large, so that's not going to be an issue for most people. Bathys, absolutely fantastic wireless headphone. That's what I've got in my bag and I'm using as well. So, good choice.
The MM-500.
MM-500. What do you use these for most?
I do really enjoy listening to them, especially with albums that was mixed using them.
Okay.
So Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers sounds insane on those. Yeah. A lot of albums that are mixed on those sound insane with them. I can't bear the comfort for long, but I love the sound.
I've not had these on my head for too long, so I don't know about the comfort. The build is fantastic.
The build is fantastic.
I think this is the best built Audeze.
I would say between that and the LCD5, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. It's built fantastic. It looks fantastic. I think it's the best sounding Audeze for me personally.
I love the sound of that one. For me, the best sounding one was the LCD 2.2.
Okay.
But they don't currently sell that model. They stopped in 2012. The MM-500 is one of the closest things to that, with a little bit less treble. I just really like it, especially if the music was mixed with it. Comfort, again, is very middling for me.
Yeah, I can feel it pressing a little bit on the top of my head there, actually. I can see how that get a hot spot. These are not exactly, but this is the closest headphone that I can think of, besides maybe an Atrium, actually, to a 6XX on steroids.
Yeah, they're very similar to that, yeah. And I think the only thing that stops a lot of people from buying that headphone, I think the only reason it's not an absolute banger is because of the comfort.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people also are going into listening with this with an expectation of an Audeze style tuning, which these are not. These are very different from everything Audeze's done before, I'd say.
Those are very close to a lot of studio reference targets. If you've ever used Sound ID reference or SonarWorks reference,
yes, yeah.
Their target is almost identical to how those headphones measure.
Gotcha. Yeah, and we actually did a video where we had someone mix a track using several different headphones, and then we all listened to it and decided which one, well, which one we thought sounded the best, and also what we thought they were mixed on. And out of, I think it was 4 or 5 different headphones, I can't remember, these ones ended up sounding the best, the final mix. So if you're a producer, do consider having a look at these.
And DT990 was the worst.
Yes, DT990 was the worst. Please don't buy Better Dynamics. Don't do that to yourself, seriously. They probably can't hear us because of all the sibilance and hearing damage, but anyway. Sennheiser HD490 Pro. These ones, do you have these here right now because you are listening to them a lot, or because you had them in for review recently and so they're just still on the wall? Both, okay. What is it that you find different / better about these versus the 6XX?
It's easier for me to compare those to a 560S.
Okay,
so those
that
are
makes
like,
sense actually.
Yeah, it's like a 560S, but way stagier, and it sounds more detailed. Whether it is or not, it's hard to say, but it measures very similar to the 560S, but with less energy at 2 kilohertz. So a little bit of like a Hyphaman-like dip at 2 kilohertz.
Yeah.
Similar treble energy above that. Depends on what pads you put on it, because there's 2 sets of pads. One of them has more bass, one of them is slightly more linear treble. But it's like if you took a 6XX and an HD800 and mixed them together into one headphone.
Yeah, I can see that actually. I like the fact that these are stagier, because that's the one weak point of the 6XX and 600 line for me, is they don't stage all that well, which this fixes, but then you do lose a little bit of the vocal magic from the 6XX.
Yeah, which is why I think I still use the 6XX more, but I do have a big appreciation for those headphones.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've got to say that the build on these is quite a bit nicer, I think, than the 600. The comfort's a lot better. This headband is a much better design, and it just looks more premium. I mean, I don't know how well you can see that, but this adjustment mechanism, it's more modern. It's a proper 2024 headphone.
And the earpads are really nice. They're really very, very soft.
I still think that the best earpads I've ever tried are the Harmonic Danzus. Not the best headphones, but those pads were, I just want those on everything.
Yeah, that was a really comfortable headphone. I played Cyberpunk 2077 when it came out for like 200 hours wearing the Harmonic Danzus because they were so comfortable.
Nice.
Yeah.
DCA E3. This was the first time hearing these, and I'm really impressed because I've been quite mixed on the previous DCA stuff. I appreciated the stealth for what it was for a closed back, but I felt that it was still kind of flawed. I thought that the Expanse fixed a lot of the issues that I had on the stealth, like the fact that the stealth just didn't really have any dynamics or slam to it, but then lost some detail and stuff. This, I think, might be my favorite DCA straight up. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. And it's just a solid closed back. It's got no sort of wonky tuning or anything like that, no uneven bass or lower mid-range stuff going on. The comfort is good, but this headband is pretty stiff. I'm sure it will maybe soften over time, but it doesn't flex much, so it's probably going to take a while to do that.
My favorite DCAs used to be the Ether C-Flow 1.1, and then it was the Aeon Noirs. Now it is those.
Gotcha.
By a long shot. In fact, I'd say that's my favorite closed back that money can buy right now.
I think I'd agree. Maybe, to be honest, the some of the ZMF closeds are really good fun. I mean,
they are really good.
They're different because they're not a neutral tuning or anything like that. Like the Bokeh is quite a bit warmer. It's less technical than this. I think a lot of people might enjoy it more. But this, if you are wanting something that is quite neutral, very technical, pretty comfy, looks fantastic as well. And how much are these? 2,000.
Yeah.
So pretty reasonably priced as well. DCA has done a fantastic job with these. Which of these headphones would you say you listen to the most, and which the least?
Oh, MM-500 the least because of the comfort.
Gotcha.
I would listen to them a lot more if they were equivalent on comfort scale to the LCD 2 or the 2 Classic.
Yeah.
The most is torn between Atrium, 6XX, and my Omega. I think all of those get equal time. Right behind that's the Tungsten. The only reason the Tungsten's right behind that is because I have to hook it up to a different amplifier than the one I normally use.
I'm the same at the moment. I'm using the ZL HM1, which can run the Tungsten, but only if I'm not listening that loud. Otherwise, I have to hook up a different amplifier, and so it's a process to get it out. It is fantastic though.
Because whenever I'm on the go or sitting on my couch or anything like that, I use the Quest Style M15. When I'm at my desk, I use the Apogee Symphony Desktop, which is an audio interface that puts out like, I think it's like between 1/2 and 3/4 of a watt.
That's a nice unit.
I love this unit.
I had not seen that before, but that's a really cool unit. It's got
It is great.
everything you need for a desk, pretty much.
It is. It's super
And
convenient.
it sounds good.
And then I pull out, I have another couple amps I use for other things, but I pull out a bigger amp when I use tungsten and hook it up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'd say that Atrium, Omega, and 6XX get the most use out of everything by a large margin. And it just depends on how I'm feeling on that day. I'd say all three of those get pretty even amounts of use.
Do you have a particular headphone that you'd like to add to this wall at some point that you don't have here right now?
That's tough. I mean, I also love the Empyrean 2. It's not currently at my house, but I do really like that one. Headphone I would love to add to that wall. I've got a D8000 Pro sitting in the back that I enjoy too for orchestral stuff.
I'm surprised you don't have an HT800.
I have one. It's boxed up.
Okay.
If I have an 800S, it's boxed up. I really like that.
Much?
No, I don't. On occasions, I'll pull it out and I really like it. One headphone I'd love to add to this wall is a Warwick,
Yes.
like a Bravura.
Yeah.
That would be incredible.
I'd love to have one of them at home. It's quite expensive to justify as an addition to a collection. But
If I sell like half my headphones on
Yeah.
that wall, then I could get a Bravura and be happy with it. But Bravura is very good. One day I'll have one, but it's down the road. Yeah, I've got amps and all that stuff. That's a whole different thing. If you like this, maybe we'll do an amp video or something.
yeah, we should do an amp one as well. And at some point we got to get you over to London and have you judge my setup as well.
That's true. I have a lot of spinny plastic here.
Yeah, you do have a lot of spinny plastic. I have no spinny plastic and I'm jealous.
You need to get some spinny plastic.
Yeah. Oh, we should probably mention the JBLs.
Yeah, they're slightly off camera, but I had like just dozens and dozens of tower speakers. I had Magnapans, Vandersteens, Bowers and Wilkins, all kinds of things, and I got rid of all of them. Gave a lot away when I got the JBL 306P Mark II. I think it's the 6XX of speakers. It's just really well-rounded, great price, very easy to live with speaker. I just love them.
Yeah, these would work well. They're just small enough that you could put them on a desk if you've got space.
And just powerful enough you can use them in a living room.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need a sub for these. I really
You
enjoy
can
this.
if you really want, like if you're using them for home theater and you really want excessive punchy bass, a sub helps.
Yeah.
But this already produces deep enough and powerful enough sub bass that I don't need them for watching movies. They just do it by themselves.
Yeah.
And the dispersion pattern is great. Frequency response is nice. It's just overall a really good speaker for its price. I recommend it to everyone. A lot of my patrons have the speaker and they're very happy with it.
I can see why. I'm considering getting a pair myself just for my desk, to be honest. Because
You should.
I mean, we spent a couple hours last night just going through songs, just listening to stuff on this.
Probably will again.
And yeah, probably will. And they're fantastic. Unless you are, really kind of trying to go deep, there's not much reason to get anything else, I don't think.
Well, it's one of those things where when you have really insane speakers, it can be almost like a trialing and exhausting process to like sit down. You have to pick the exact music, and it's the same thing we get with the Atrium. Where you have really nice speakers, you want to listen to really nice music.
That's a good way of putting it. It's
With
like
these, I'll put on anything and be really happy.
yeah, that's a 6XX or Atrium because I love the Sopra number 3s to bits. That's a fantastic setup, but it's an intense kind of listening experience because there's everything there, and yeah, it's great, but I can only do it for a little while before you kind of get overwhelmed.
And you don't listen to just anything on them.
No.
Yeah. Versus these, I'll put on like the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack or like Skyrim.
good.
Yeah.
What's the album called?
Songs for the Cosmic Sofa. Yeah, I found that they sell that in Barnes and Noble now.
This one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get a copy of this.
That's good. Or just
because I haven't got a buying set.
just about anything though, Radiohead or jazz or anything you put on, it's gonna sound great.
Well, you've got a fantastic setup. Thanks for letting me try stuff. I think we've got to get you over and have you judge my setup at some point, and then we've got to go and roast Andrews together as well. What I've enjoyed listening to the most here, other than the headphones, is the happy noises from this lovely dog. Because your dog is perfect, and very few people have a pretty good chance of actually making the claim of the best dog, the goodest boy or girl. But I think you've got a pretty good chance there. She's excellent.
She's a honey roasted ham. She is the stunning image of perfection in a living being. And she's spoiled.
I think the best way to end this video is to just give the audience about 30 seconds or so of the dog being pampered and leave it at that.
Yeah, seems like a great idea.
Yeah. We'll see you next time. You done?